Tenants in Los Angeles have to pay landlords all of the debt that they accrued during the pandemic before August 1st, or they face eviction. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the fact that tenants in Los Angeles, they finally have to pay landlords the money that is owed to them, the money that they have owed them since the beginning of this pandemic. Okay, so Los Angeles, they put all these different eviction protections into place for tenants, and one of them said that landlords couldn't file eviction for the rent debt that these tenants accumulated during the pandemic. Okay, and I mean that's so dumb in my opinion, but that rule is coming to an end, and that means that landlords are going to be, just hitting these tenants who accumulated, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. Okay, and I don't blame them for wanting to get rid of these tenants, because if you haven't paid your landlord back by now, here we are 3+ years later, almost 3.5 years later. Well, you're probably never going to pay them back. So you need to get the heck out of their place, okay? You need to move on, find somewhere else to live, because the landlord is not the homeless shelter or your social welfare provider. And, they have no right to steal your property and live in your property for any longer, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. What do you think of this whole situation going on in Los Angeles County? Can you even believe that, landlords were unable to even file eviction, even though their eviction moratorium in Los Angeles ended? They still couldn't file eviction against these tenants who accumulated just tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, okay? And, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I wish that these things had never happened in the first place. But that's why I'm putting these videos out there. I want to warn people, next time they think that, oh, yeah, eviction moratoriums, they're great, they're going to benefit so many people. Well, it's not, okay? It's just a bunch of people abusing the law, taking advantage of landlords, taking advantage of the government in order to live for free. And we don't need that nonsense, okay? It's just a push towards socialism where the government pays for everybody, and there's a whole bunch of lazy people who don't want to work, don't want to do anything, who are trying to get something for free, okay? So anyway, let's get into this article. This article is coming from LAist.com, and it says, LA renters could face eviction next week over early pandemic debts. Let's get into it. Tenants in the city of Los Angeles could soon face eviction over unpaid rent from early in the COVID-19 pandemic. So far, the city of LA's COVID-19 regulations have given renters protection from eviction over pandemic debts, but rent was never canceled, only delayed. And landlords have long complained about financial hardships stemming from unpaid rent. Now tenants have until Tuesday, August 1st, to pay landlords all of the rent they missed between March 1st of 2020 and September 30th of 2021. If they don't pay those debts in full, they could face eviction. And the truth of the matter is they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay. The grand majority of those people who still owe money from that year and a half period of time, they're never going to pay. They don't have the ability to pay, and they're going to face eviction. Now, are they actually going to be evicted? I don't know. I personally don't think so. I think that, these bleeding hearts on the left, what they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, no, we can't have these people facing homeless. Yeah, well, it's a joke. It's a joke, okay? We need to get them out of these properties. And if they can't afford to live there, there's no reason for them to stay. That's the truth. They didn't get to stay for free. That is the main thing they need to understand. You do not get to stay for free. Somebody has to pay. And that debt is yours. Just like if you went down and you took a credit card and you went down and you bought yourself a bunch of Louis Vuitton purses, and then you're like, well, I can't afford to pay this back. Well, guess what? That's your debt. You owe it. You have to pay it. It's not the responsibility of the government. It's not the responsibility of the landlord. It's not the responsibility of your next door neighbor or your parents or anyone else. It's you. Okay, and the problem I have is these people refuse to take personal responsibility, and they're sitting there, they're begging, oh, somebody please help me. I accumulated 18 months of rent debt, and I can't pay it back. Well, why the heck did you accumulate 18 months of rent debt if you can't pay it back? Oh my goodness. It's so frustrating because I feel really bad for these landlords out there, especially the small landlords who went through horrible financial times while all this was happening. Some of them, they took out loans in order to pay their mortgage off and to pay for utilities, pay for repairs to their property so they didn't lose them. Why should a landlord have to go through all that and then never expect to get a penny back? And I know what a lot of people they think. They think, oh, well, you know what? They had the rental assistance program. The rental assistance program should have. No, the rental assistance program did not cover all tenants. Okay, that's the first thing. There were a lot of tenants who didn't qualify because of income or for other reasons. However, those same tenants were protected by the eviction moratorium. So it makes no logical sense to me that they would have tenants who were ineligible for rental assistance, but at the same time were eligible for the eviction moratorium. See, that was another one of those big issues I had with the program. But let's continue. I am very worried about the deadline, LA Mayor Karen Bass told LAist. I'm concerned that we're going to have another spike in homelessness. In the interview with LAist, Bass deferred questions on actions the city will take to help renters before the deadline to the head of the city council's housing committee and the CEO of the Mayor's Fund, a nonprofit aligned with the Bass administration's housing goals. The city has put funding toward programs that provide legal aid and limited rental assistance for tenants facing eviction. And the Mayor's Fund is pledging to step up ongoing homelessness prevention efforts, but other funding through the city's new mansion tax will not be available to tenants by the Tuesday deadline. So, yeah, this is what they think. Oh, well, the government needs to step up and pay these tenants' bills for them. Yeah, well, you know what? There's going to come a point in time when the government doesn't have enough money to pay all these bills because the taxpayers, the ones who are actually paying taxes, they fled. Okay, that's what I would do. I would leave, Los Angeles. There's no reason to stay there. They're ridiculous mansion tax. They're ridiculous. They have the highest taxes in the entire country out in California, and there's no benefit to staying out there. There's none, especially now with the internet making a lot of jobs you're able to do remotely. And, there's so many big cities throughout the country. It's just absolutely ridiculous. They treat business owners like garbage. They treat landlords, property owners like garbage. They treat the whole middle class like garbage. And then they wonder, why are they declining in population? Why are we declining in population? Well, look at all these taxes. Look at all these rules. Look at all these regulations. Look how you treat your business owners. Businesses are fleeing to other states that are much more friendly, where they actually want them there. You act like it's a privilege to be there. It's not. Okay? Yeah, like it's a beautiful state. It's got great weather in some spots. It's, beautiful beaches, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? And a lot more people are saying no. Okay? And I agree with them. Eviction filings have already been rising across LA County for many months, and landlord advocates say more are coming after the pandemic rent debt protections go away. We're doing tons of eviction cases now, but there will be many new evictions that we have in the pipe to start on August 2nd, said prominent LA area eviction attorney Dennis Block. Block said the city's COVID-19 restrictions have unfairly prevented many of his clients from taking action over debts that in many cases stretch back more than 3 years. When does it stop? Block said. And why is it the landlord's responsibility to be financially responsible for someone else's debt? Yeah, and that's a great question. Why is it the landlord's responsibility to be, responsible for someone else's debt? It shouldn't be. It's not the city's responsibility either, though. Okay? The government shouldn't be your mom and dad. You shouldn't be falling back on the government to take care of you. And in a lot of these cases, that is exactly what these people did. So, my opinion is this is a good thing. These people, they need to face reality. They need to pay their debts off. The landlords need to be made whole. If they're not able to be made whole, they need to get their properties back. Okay? That's it. It's pretty simple. The homelessness issue, that's your problem. That's not the landlord's problem.